ZGRWhyUDead! And we're back with the Dark Souls playthrough. This is part 2 of Sens Fortress, where we had just reached the first bonfire. So now we're at the top with the giant that's lobbing down boulders at us. So the first thing I typically want to do when I get up here is get to that giant and kill him. So what we do is you have to sprint so that you avoid the boulders that he's going to throw. And then as we just run along, we'll eventually get to him, and he's not difficult to kill by any means. You can kind of just hide in the doorway and wait for him to wear himself out for you to get some hits on him. Those cages in front of us are actually going to be a shortcut that take you all the way back down to the very beginning of Sens Fortress that we will unlock later. I don't think I'll actually end up using them at all in this playthrough, but they are very handy in situations where you need to travel from the next zone back to the real world, if you will. So here's the giant, and behind us was the door to the Iron Golem boss. And we're actually going to summon an NPC to help us, but we'll get to that later. This boss is really easy to... This giant here is easy to juke out. If you just walk up there, he'll start... When he starts doing those stomps there, that means he's going to tire himself out. So you just back down, and then wield your weapon as a two-hander, and then just go in balls to the wall. He's really easy. Especially if you've got a decent weapon. You take him down in just a few swings. If he gets back up, just go back down, rinse and repeat. Now, I was totally playing like a pansy. I absolutely could have just gone out and killed this guy for... He only has one shot left on him, but I didn't quite realize that yet. But that's Dark Souls for you. It's better to be too cautious than to be too risky. He drops a Titanite chunk, and that's all that there is. But he will now respawn, so once you kill him once, he won't be able to throw those boulders down at you. So now we can go down, and there's actually a series of treasures that we're going to start hunting down. There's a special rapier that we can pick up that's, well, it's really for dexterity builds. There's a chasm that we're going to jump across to give us a key to the cages that we saw earlier that bring us back down to the bottom. And there's a Black Knight that we'll kill for some decent souls. So all of that is just ahead of us here. I kind of breezed through Sens Fortress on this playthrough. The first time I came through here, I thought this zone was incredibly challenging. You know, I was constantly falling off the ledges, and I imagine you will be too if this is your first playthrough. Now what you want to do here is you're going to run straight across, because there's a chasm, or a hole there, and you have to run on the left side and sprint and jump to make that. And there's a vendor over here who will sell several sets of armor that aren't all that great, but some of them look kind of neat. He sells some rings that have good resistances, and he sells some Titanites. We don't need to buy anything from him though, we just need to go down the stairs and get the key that opens up the cages.
Nothing at all? Fine then.
That's right, I don't need any of your shit. And here's the key to the cage key. This is also the key that will open up the cage to Big Hat Logan. So once we kill the Iron Golem, we'll definitely go back and free him so that we can start buying all of the, some of the really good spells in the game. And then kicking off the Big Hat Logan quest chain, which inevitably involves saving his ass again, buying all of his spells, and then him going crazy and you having to kick his ass, which is fine with me. And then you get his kick-ass huge hat, which, while it doesn't provide any benefits over the one that we have now, it does look pretty fucking awesome. There's a few items down here that we can pick up. These knights are just a joke. But there is a ring that has a good fire resist on it, which is useful in some situations. For some of the bosses, basically when we go down into the demon ruins, a lot of the enemies and bosses there deal fire damage. It could also be good in PvP situations later, as some PvPers are going to be using chaos and fire weapons. I guess it would only be good for fire weapons. Regardless, having good fire resist is well, it's never a bad thing. And now we're going to go up to the next little area up here that has a big black knight to take out, as well as that rapier I was talking about, and a few other little items here and there. It's just straight ahead. This is going to be just like the Black Knight that we fought in the church by the gargoyles. The problem here is that you're just in a confined space, so it's a little bit tougher to take them out. But not for me! Now this enemy is the guy that has the rapier, and he can be a little bit tricky. I actually had some trouble here with as a sorcerer, trying to shoot him with my arrows, because he actually will dodge them. His arrows hit pretty hard as well. I guess they don't hit that hard. I found him to be a lot easier as a melee character, because you could just rush in and kick his ass. So these are going to be the last of the items that I was trying to collect. And I've actually got some decent souls, and I've got some soul items that I can use as well to give myself some souls. So I'm going to go back to the bonfire, level up, get my spells and Estus Flask back, and then we're going to go after the boss and summon Knight Tarkus, or Iron Tarkus, to help us. And this NPC is extremely powerful. He has a lot of armor and health, but he also does a shitload of damage. He could pretty much fight the entire boss fight for you, and you can stand back and watch if you wanted to. The Iron Golem boss fight is actually pretty tricky without Iron Tarkus, because the Golem will knock you, basically fighting on top of a tower with lots of places to fall off, and he will use knockbacks and knock you off. He'll pick you up and throw you off. Plus, if he hits you, he just does massive damage anyway. I stand corrected. Before we go to the bonfire, I'm going to go use the key to open up the cages here that bring us down to the shortcut. Now, this shortcut, it brings you to the very first ledge with the axes, where there's one serpent standing on it, and the cage drops you off right in front of that serpent. So you got to be pretty careful here, because he could mess you up if you're not paying attention. since I'm down here, I might as well go free Big Hat Logan as well, since he's just around the corner up here. I can see behind that sleeping serpent that the wall has been bashed in. Recall that we did that with one of the large boulders up top by sending it down the middle path, and it only takes one boulder to come down to do that. In addition to Big Hat Logan being locked up in a cage down here, there's also, all the way at the very end, another cage that has a soul of a great hero, or a soul of a hero, that gives you like 20,000 souls, which is pretty awesome.
I am Logan. I'm a bit cooped up. I have a bright idea. I'm old and empty-handed. This place is melting my mind. Oh, heavens! And I'd love to resume my travels, but I must log a few things first, and I owe you a favor. Speak with me there. So that...
His hat is so freaking awesome. I would wear that in real life. To a bar. And pick up chicks. Don't let me lie, I don't get chicks. Alright, we'll just do a little leveling up here, and then we'll go kick the boss's fucking ass. Now with 40 intelligence, my spells and my sword are going to be hitting hard as hell now. And I don't even have the good spells yet. Once I get those, man, the spells will start hitting for up over 1,000 damage each, which is just so overpowered. The Sorcerer is just totally the easiest class to play in this game by far. At this point, I wish I would have played like a rogue or something. And maybe I will do another playthrough of this with a rogue. If there is interest of it, we'll see. What do you guys think? Leave me some comments and let me know if you'd like to see something different. Maybe a two-handed warrior or a paladin. What do you guys want to see a playthrough of next? Now there's the boss's door. Straight across this path over here is the summon sign for Iron Tarkus. Remember, you have to be in human form to do this. And he, again, is an ass kicker that just totally decimates this boss. You can use ranged attacks on the boss, which is pretty effective. But other than that, you kind of just have to watch for his signs if you're fighting him in melee. Try to stay behind him and your dodge his attacks, really. Go get him, Tarkus. This is all you, bitch. See, the great heavy soul arrows hit pretty hard. Now, Tarkus will eventually stagger this guy and knock him down to the ground if he gets a couple good hits on his legs, and you can do the same thing, and that's when you can really go in with a two-handed weapon and start beating on him. But with him tanking the thing and me shooting the heavy soul arrows, well, that guy was a joke. My first playthrough of this was with a pyromancer, and I did not have Tarkus, and this guy was significantly harder for me. It took a lot of attempts. Now straight ahead, there's a little golden circle on the ground, and if you touch that, it will take some gargoyles will fly down and take you to the next zone. But instead of doing that, I want to go back and speak with Big Hat Logan and see if I can't spend these 40,000 souls to get some of his good spells. Now he's back at the Firelink Shrine, so that's where we're heading to.
There you are. As promised, I will share my sorcery.
Good, good. Homing Soul Mass puts 5 little souls above your head that automatically shoot at your target, which is really good. And Soul Spear shoots really strong soul spears at the enemies that actually could penetrate through them and hit more than one enemy. They're very, very powerful. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use the Soul of Quelaag and the Soul of the Iron Golem, because I'm not going to use them to make any special weapons because they don't benefit my Sorcerer build. The Iron Golem Soul can be used to make a large shield, and the Soul of Quelaag can be used to make a really cool fire chaos weapon that scales on humanity and dexterity, which is really good for rogues, and that's what I've actually got in my rogue. So now that I've got I see that I've got pretty much all these spells already, but to be able to buy the rest of Logan's spells later in the game, you have to buy all of his spells up front, which is again fine, because having more than one copy of Great Soul Arrow is great, because then instead of having 20, I would have 40, for instance. So that's great.
Hello there. Very well. No results there.
So now that I've got everything I need, next up is Anorlando, which is a huge, beautiful, really cool zone with, to me, one of the hardest bosses in the game, and lots to do there. So stay tuned for Anorlando.